You may have heard there's a writer's strike going on in Hollywood, meaning right now in Tinseltown, nobody's typing away at the next Mighty Ducks or Rudy or Remember the Titans. But 30 years ago this football season, nestled in the City of Roses, came a story that to the faithful of Thomas County Central isn't just stranger than fiction, it's far better than anyone could write. Thomasville, Georgia has always prided itself on football. Thomas County's seat has had a love affair with America's game that goes back over a century. But in 1993, if you took the pulse of the sport, you'd find its heart beating in the Rose City.
So I don't know that any community's ever really had anything quite like it. Whenever you've got 3 national champions being represented with Eric Curry, Sean Jones, and Charlie. Of course, Charlie at that point hadn't won the national championship, was well on his way.
While the rest of the nation was getting acquainted with the town's most famous alumni, the county of just under 40,000 at the time was doing what it usually does, dreaming of another trophy in the case.
The problem facing this year's Yellow Jackets following last year's act, the most improbable state championship in Georgia history.
I don't think our kids actively think they have a fat head, but sometimes we have to bring them back down to reality, and that's what we've been doing the last couple of weeks.
On one side of Jackson Street, Thomas County Central. The school, first opening in 1958, had just won its first ever state title in 1992. Second-year coach Ed Pilcher's Yellow Jackets winning 9 straight games after stumbling to a 1-5 start. A mid-season turnaround Central was determined to prove was less miracle and more a rival in 1993. But just 3 miles away, a team in red prepares for the same season. History's team.
The Thomasville Bulldogs came within a whisker of the state Final Four in '92, winning the region for the 2nd straight year. It's a veteran team that returns with that memory.
With a lot of seniors that we have coming back, it's in the back of their minds. We'd like to get there again.
Thomasville High School, 5 state championships, the 1978 national championship. 80 years of tradition and excellence. 2 rivals, 2 reputations, 1 goal, but with split motivations. One of tradition and pedigree, and another of respect. A shot for Central to prove it belonged at the table.
And a lot of people, including the folks downtown, kind of felt that it was a fluke. And I think that it validated the presence of our program being respected as a state contender. Whenever you have a season like we had in '92, it's easy for folks on the outside to look at it and go, nah, that was just luck.
Ed Pilcher's Jackets would shut out Colquitt County in Week 1 while Thomasville didn't play, setting the stage for the 2's traditional early season meeting. Central had lost a 21-20 heartbreak at Veterans Memorial Stadium a season before. September 10th, 1993, a different tale.
But whenever you take on Thomasville, that was 1 step away from playing us in '92, which people forget, and you take care of them 28-7, which is one of the biggest victories we'd ever had over them at that point. It kind of made a point that we were legit.
From there, both rivals would run roughshod over most of South Georgia, tasting defeat only twice. George Bobo's Bulldogs would rout top-ranked Doherty in a region championship, while Central would blast rival Cairo for a region crown. Round after round, the opponents in the 3A playoffs came and went, and the picture became more and more clear. A rematch was on the horizon.
Once we got past that point where we knew in the semis, if both teams win, we're going against each other, that's when you started thinking, okay, this is for real.
The night of December 11th, the Rose City would get its answer, and the quaint little South Georgia town turned into a frenzy.
One is actually included in the other, but this week, Thomasville and Thomas County are very much divided.
It did not feel like a football game. It almost felt like a family fight.
So we always sit on opposite sides. It's just known. It keeps us from fighting. Because if he sits on Thomasville's side, he's going to yell for Central, and then I'm going to get mad at him, and so we just separate.
You're either for us or you're against us, or either you've just moved here or you've been sleeping since you've been here.
This town is going to be divided. You know, it's always divided once a year. Now this time it's going to be, you know, the battle lines are drawn more severely now.
And in an age long before NFL stadium finales, the title would be decided in the county limits. The Jackets Nest, Saturday, December 18th, 1993. The final chapter. The collision of 2 rivals, 2 reputations, and 1 goal. Win. History rarely writes a final act worthy of such stakes, but for football fans throughout the state, Christmas came a week early. An opening drive field goal gave the visiting Dogs a 3-0 lead, and from there, the two would stay neck and neck.
And that was what made that night so special. Either team could have won it, and at any point during the ball game, either team could have won it.
There's the snap, set down, kick it, blocked! Blocked! It's picked up by Cedric Holden, blocked!
But as far as the scoreboard was concerned, the tide began to turn in the second quarter. A blocked field goal from Cedric Holden would set the tone until the halftime horn. Quarterback Ricky Stacy would take the game over with 86 rushing yards in the game's opening 24 minutes. With 8:42 left in the half, Central would finally break through.
He looks the line over, gives it to Johnny, touchdown!
But the Jackets weren't done, as Stacy would later find the end zone himself.
Ricky's gonna take it, go to Johnny, no, Ricky keeps it up the middle, 10, Ricky, 5, touchdown! Touchdown!
But the tide turned yet again out of the locker room. A muffed punt and a short field gave Dogs QB Evan Thompson a window to capitalize. The Jackets began to hold on for dear life.
You've run out of fingernails to chew, so you start chewing on toenails. I mean, it's literally that nerve-wracking, because what you got there is a situation where you feel like you're not only playing for a state championship, you're playing for validation of your program and your school and really your community.
Thomasville would get the ball with under 8 left in the game, as Thompson would engineer a drive that would go inside the 2-minute mark and down with goal to go. A trophy and a reputation hanging in the balance. 4th and a yard, 4th and game.
Thompson's gonna look at it, take it, try to keep it left side, option it, Didi goes, no! They stopped him! 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 They stopped him!
The Jackets would take a safety on purpose, leaving the visitors without enough time to drive the field. The clock hit 0, the fans hit the field, and so too did the goalposts. Central had done the unthinkable.
Yes, indeed, the Jackets are the '93 state champions.
Winning the first and only GHSA state title between two crosstown rivals, repeating as 3A state champions, and most importantly, sending a message off Jackson Street and beyond. We belong.
There's no question about it. When the ball game was over, I think everybody wearing the blue and gold finally looked in the mirror and said, okay, we really belong. And I think the folks downtown kind of tipped their cap and said, okay, you guys are for real.
Today, both the Bulldogs and the Yellow Jackets are considered Georgia football royalty, each with 5 titles to their name, but one that stands out among them all on a fateful night, once upon a time, in the Rose City.
There were so many strings attached to it, so many emotions attached to it, and I don't know that that can ever be replicated again. I mean, it really was a very, very special moment in time that will live forever around this community.